Our next slide is a beautiful picture of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich being made. And we thought we would start out just by talking about that sandwich. It's a quintessential American sandwich. Now, I was going to say it's a quintessential sandwich, but I have learned from people this week and also from our Norwegian colleagues where we were a couple of weeks ago, not everybody, not every culture loves PB&J. Sorry about that. We didn't intend to not be inclusive. So if you hate PB&J or have a peanut allergy, we still want you. We still love you. Now, if you like peanut butter and jelly, we have a little quiz, not a quiz, a question for you. Creamy or crunchy?
Show me the creamies. Come on. That's right. You are my peach.
How about the crunchies? Okay, yeah, it's kind of an equally split group here. Well, on our slide is a sort of a set of characteristics about peanut butter and jelly and where we're going to compare them to knowledge management and learning together. And the first one is that a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is easy to make. And when you add KM to your formal learning, it's also easier and faster. The time from launch to business value can be decreased so you get there where you want to go quickly, just like it's quick to make a PB&J.
Absolutely, and it sticks together. You know, when you take the two pieces of bread and you stick it and you just hold it by one, it still stays together. And that's because the components of that sandwich, just like the components in learning and knowledge management, attract one another.
Right. And there's diversity in textures and flavors. Just like when you put learning and KM together, you have a diversity of learning modalities which can fit the individual and their own learning needs, as well as the organization and the collective learning needs.
Absolutely, and unique approaches can create a whole that's greater than the sum of its parts. And that's true for both learning and KM and the PBJ.
And then finally, it's portable. A PB&J can be smashed together in the morning and brought out on a boat and eaten at 4 in the afternoon. It can go places with you. And learning and KM together have an agility that you don't necessarily have with just formal learning by itself. So that's the ways that we think KM.
There's one more, Kim.
Oh, is there one? Did I forget one?
Do you all agree that it's filling? It's kind of like
That's
stick
right.
to your ribs kind of food. It sticks with you. Well, the same can be said for learning and knowledge management. By offering different modalities of learning, studies have shown that it increases retention of the knowledge that you've learned. So just like the PBJ is stick to your ribs kind of food, well, learning and KM is stick to your brain kind of knowledge.
You can just take a bite whenever you're hungry for it. So we want to know a little bit about you. Who in the audience works in a combined learning and KM team at your company?
Oh, fantastic.
Quite a few. Woo! Who in the audience? Your question.
Oh, it's okay.
Go ahead.
We're so unstructured now. There are no rules, sister. How many of you are not really formally in charge of learning or KM, but you blend them together anyway because it just makes sense? Yeah, I see hands. Yeah.
Awesome. We want to talk to and learn from all of you. Maybe not today because we're almost finished with the conference, but we do want you to stay in touch. And our contact information is available in the big, heavy program guide. So our next slide, imagine a puzzle, two pieces coming together. Learning and KM were brought together formally in our company in the beginning of 2020, right before the pandemic. And we really have a mission of creating a learning culture where all of our employees can share what they know with each other and learn from each other. And we can thrive as individuals and also as a collective. This slide that you can't see, you may have actually seen before. Last year, my boss talked to it at KM World, which was virtual. And we believe that putting the learning and the KM teams together really enable us to watch the value chain from idea to best practice, to validation of that best practice, to formal learning on that best practice, to improvements to that best practice.